What's going on, Flicks Talkers? Welcome back to another movie review, this time for Sonic the Hedgehog, which came out February 14th, 2020. Not really appropriate for Valentine's Day, but I'm gonna get into a little backstory before we jump into this review. But before I do all of that, make sure you guys are hitting that thumbs up button for more movie content like this. I do reviews, I do out and abouts, we do all kinds of things that are movie related, as well as retro reviews if you guys like the older movies. So like I said, hit that thumbs up. Make sure you guys are leaving comments at the end of this review if you guys are gonna check out Sonic the Hedgehog, and make sure you guys are hitting that subscribe and bell notification for more content like this. All right, so without further ado, let's jump right into the story and what became of this internet phenomenon known as the new Sonic the Hedgehog movie. Okay, so back in April of 2019, we got our first look at Sonic the Hedgehog, and the internet did not appreciate what they saw before them, and neither did I. I mean, we all made jokes about it, memes about it. Some of the memes are still going on today in 2020, and rightfully so. It looked completely trash. This was nothing like we expected or wanted from the Sega Sonic franchise that we all knew and grew to love. If you guys are in your late 20s or 30s, you probably even younger, because they still are making Sonic related type of games, guys, you knew that this was not the Sonic that we knew and loved. What the hell? Why did they mess up? Anyways, they went back, spent a lot of money redesigning Sonic, and we got our re-release and our new first look at Sonic the Hedgehog. And then guess what? We were all happily pleased. Now flash forward to February 14th weekend. We have our new and improved Sonic the Hedgehog movie starring Jim Carrey as Dr. Robotnik, aka Eggman. Now before I jump into what this movie's about, let me go over this cast really quick. So you have Ben Schwartz. Is it Schwartz or Schwartzman? Okay, Google. Alright, so first off, voicing Sonic the Hedgehog himself is Ben Schwartz. I think he's a really funny comedian. You guys know him mainly from Parks and Rec, a show I really don't follow, but I've seen a couple of episodes and a couple of the movies that he's been in the past, and I thought he was pretty clever and funny. Next up, you got Tika Sumpter, who was in Ride Along and Ride Along 2. I don't know too much of her movies, but she is thrown in here as a co-star, as well as James Marsden, who you guys know from Dead to Me more recently. We did catch that season. It is a Netflix original. Thought it's a really good show, and he is part of it. But I think the creme de la creme of this cast is Mr. Jim Carrey. He is a seasoned vet. I believe he's been doing movies for over 30 years now, and I remember him from his early works in Living Color. I thought it was a fantastic portrayal of his dynamic dimensions of characters that he has locked inside of him, guys. So I was really excited once they announced him as Dr. Robotnik, the evil entity of this movie. Alright guys, so the short, sweet synopsis for this movie is Sonic the Hedgehog does have to flee to Earth to kind of hide out from people that do want to steal his flash fast ability, but in the melee of everything, he lets his presence be known on Earth, which alerts the government to what's going on in this small town, which then alerts Dr. Robotnik of his presence. Also along the way, Sonic does lose his rings, and in a twist of fate, befriends James Marsden, who plays Tom Wachowski's character, which leads to a team-up type of movie where they're trying to hide Sonic from Dr. Robotnik and the government and just stay alive for the duration of the movie. Alright, right off the bat, I thought the intro of this film was cool, guys. We got a big look into Emerald Hill Zone. So if you guys know the Sonic franchise, you guys know that that's like the first level that you start off with playing this on Sega Genesis. I really stopped playing once I was in high school, guys, but I'm sure that's part of the lore later on in the game. So we get a cool glimpse of that, as well as Baby Sonic. So this whole picture of Baby Sonic kind of appeared online. Everybody thought it was because of Baby Yoda, you know, going viral online, but he is part of this movie, and it was kind of cool to see Baby Sonic in this film and the reasoning why he had to leave to Earth. So I thought that was a pretty cool explanation. So it's a lot of, you know, things going on. You get to see his abilities a little bit, and you get to see the explanation with the rings, which is a huge part of the Sonic Sega lore. So I'm glad they kind of went in that backstory of how that was to be, and the powers scores that kind of go along with this. Now, once we kind of get that epic beginning, the film just goes downhill from there, guys. I gotta admit, I was extremely bored with this movie. All the characters were so bland, especially Tika Sumpter's character. She was a side character that didn't even need to really be in this movie. She just played the wife of Tom Wachowski, so I really didn't even remember her name in the film, guys. I was completely kind of bored with all the corny dialogue that went along with this, as well as Tom Wachowski himself. He was such a useless, deputy or whatever he played, sheriff of this town, guys, of I think it was called Green Hill or Greenville. Somehow it tied in with kind of the Sonic lore a little bit. They tried to do a play off of words, but it was not holding my attention whatsoever. Like I said, I'm older, in my 30s, so it's not really hitting the demographic of what I thought this movie was going to be more about. I guess I'm kind of lying to myself. I knew that it was going to be for a younger demographic, guys, and this is definitely for the more age 8 to maybe 13 demographic. There is a couple of nods to the old Sonic lore for us fans, so that was kind of cool, but you do get a couple of adult jokes thrown in there from Mr. Jim Carrey himself, which was a little off-putting. They were really trying to hold that younger and older demographic in this film, and I didn't think it worked too well, as most of the writing was just horrendous, like I said earlier on, guys, and it really just felt like an early 2001 Scooby-Doo type of film. Now let's get into the character that most of you guys are watching this movie for, not Sonic, Mr. Jim Carrey as Dr. Robotnik. Now, what did I think of him? Like I said, I've been following his career forever. His bad movies, his good movies, a lot of his early TV work, guys. This man is a masterpiece of just great acting ability inside of him. I think he's just a phenomenal man through and through. His career's had a lot of ups and downs, as well as being in the media as a crazy man or just having different views, from the norm. I think Jim Carrey is an elaborate, elusive character that has a great range of acting ability. All right, enough patting Jim Carrey on the back. What did I think of him in this movie? I thought he did a solid job. I mean, I wouldn't choose anyone else, but the writing for him was extremely pompous, arrogant. That's who his character was, but it just went way over the bounds of cringeworthy, guys. They should have stopped it at, lines before, but he just kept going and going and going. I understand to an older demographic that's going to hold your interest, but a kid at 8 years old hearing all this dialogue and government jargon, they're not going to know what the hell's going on. So that's why I keep saying I don't know who this movie is targeted to. So overall, I did enjoy Jim Carrey as Dr. Robotnik, aka Eggman. He is in the search of Sonic and the Rings and just kind of figuring out who the hell Sonic is. I guess the government hires him to kind of investigate and go after these, not really paranormal entities, but these sightings of mysterious things that happen. So that's kind of how he gets pulled into this whole story, and he has just different gadgets and, flying mechanisms and just crazy things, attached to his crazy demeanor. And that was probably the best thing about this movie, guys. Sonic himself, after a while, just got very corny and just boring to me. I mean, I understand he is who he is, but it just got very, very annoying, guys, and I just wasn't having it. Like I said, I grew up in a time where Sonic didn't even talk. Now, I understand from the later games he started to talk. He started implementing more characters in the movie. I actually wish I would have saw some more hidden characters like Tails or Knuckles or whatever it was, guys. I wish I would have saw a glimpse of that somewhere in the movie. Even more Easter eggs. Now, speaking on the topic of Easter eggs, the ending of this movie, there's a huge fight battle scene between Dr. Robotnik and Sonic, and that was probably the best part of this movie, the action and the CGI dealing with all of that, as well as a road scene and a bar scene, which was really cool. It showed the whole extensive CGI world, which was very reminiscent of Mr. Quicksilver in X-Men. So if you guys know what I'm talking about, that scene in particular, you guys know that bar scene is going to be really, really cool in this movie. But anyways, jumping back to that battle scene, guys, that scene brought back a lot of nostalgia. It felt very video game-y, kind of just hopping around, bouncing all over, the enemy. And that's kind of what made me smile at the end of this movie. I was kind of satisfied in that vein. But other than that, it really did not hold up for me, guys. I mean, like I said, I was going in this with low expectations. When a Sonic movie was announced, I was like, Why? What's the reasoning for this? It's such an old character. I understand they're just digging up all these characters to make movie franchises for. I was appreciative that they're bringing back this whole lore and this character for a younger generation, and for that I gotta give them kudos. But just as an overall movie, I thought it was goofy, it was outdated, and it just wasn't needed. And I feel like it's not gonna do too well at the box office in February. Maybe they should have pushed it to a May release, guys, right before summer. You know, get more of the kids that are coming out of school to actually watch this movie, and I'm pretty sure they would have banked a little more. That being said, guys, I don't want to make this review too long, so I'm going to give Sonic a solid 3.5 out of 5, saying go watch it if you have little kids, and if you're older, you might appreciate some of the nostalgia, but I don't think you're going to be adding this to your collection or thinking that it's a great video game to movie adaptation. So that ends my review for Sonic the Hedgehog 2020. Let me know if you guys did appreciate it by hitting that thumbs up, and make sure you guys are leaving comments below, and make sure you guys are hitting that subscribe and bell notification for more content like this. Till next review, I'm gone. Peace.